Well, welcome. I'm David, and Karen's our wonderful, ever-present host for our BCEs. And so I want to welcome all of you, especially those who have come to join us for the first time. We have a sort of an annual theme this year of trust, and all of the sessions are pretty much the same. Just a couple of quick thoughts from me, and then a practice for you, and lots of opportunities to sort of talk about that once we're done. And it's all a way for us to kind of step away from all the information we end up inhaling, trying to be good professionals, and just be with ourselves and see what we discover. So I'd just like to invite you to just take a minute and sort of check in with yourself about what brings you here today, or how are you arriving today. And you can just put a few words in the chat box, just a way of bringing your presence into the room. Mm. Mm.
Hmm. Colleen is about to expand her brain, or something is about to expand her brain.
Mm.
Gratitude, frazzledness, and looking forward to slowing down. You've come to the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
being with this community.
Mm.
Hmm. Somebody has some good news.
Mm.
Hmm. This feeling like a safe place, hopefully technically free of any technical problems for the person who wrote
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, when we were together last week for our call on the Five Maturities, we were Zoom and us were in a death match. I think Zoom won, but yeah.
Hmm. Thank you,
Mm.
everybody. Lots of wonderful
Yeah,
participation already. Thank you.
great.
Everybody can read that. Okay.
Right. I'm just going to share the screen here for a bit and share a few thoughts, just particularly again, for people who are new, to kind of get you a little bit oriented. It doesn't, it does not matter that if you've not been here before. All of these are available on our YouTube channel, plus every session stands by itself as a valuable experience. So don't worry that you might be missing out on something. So our theme for the entire year for each of these Beyond Coaching experiences is trust. And we started the first part of this year on trusting ourselves. Now we're looking at trusting others. Our focus for today's session, in the midst of that, trusting others, is letting be. And that will make sense to some of you if you've been here before. Not so much maybe you haven't been, but you'll see that in a minute. It's part of our breathing and meditation practice. And you'll see kind of how those two pieces go together in just a minute. And so the question that I want to bring in today, and Karen and I had a wonderful conversation getting ready for today, about those points in our day or our life where we end up noticing that we're holding our breath, or we're not breathing fully, or sometimes we're breathing too much, we're hyperventilating. But our breath isn't flowing. Somehow it's being agitated or shifted by our mental or emotional state. And so oftentimes when we're constricted in our breath, it's a symbol and a clear sign that somehow we're constricted in ourself. There's an experience we don't want to have. There's something we wish weren't the case, where we're resisting some form of reality, and our breath is just a reflection of our inner turbulence. So we're going to sort of offer you a piece today about what we might do when we notice that our breath is constricted. And the way we're going to do that is I was just sitting the other day working on some slides for a presentation at the Integrative Coaching Conference. And I came across some slides from our ID program that reminded me that in a couple of weeks we celebrate or honor the not celebrate honor the death of George Floyd, which sort of was a huge spark in the Black Lives Matter moment. And I started thinking about the privilege of breathing. And having had long COVID for 18 months, I've become much more intimately aware of the challenges one can have breathing. And I thought about the people in Gaza. I thought about the people everywhere who don't have clean air. I thought about the people that face anxieties in their life for a whole host of reasons. And so I had this sort of idea that I wanted to kind of bring into these BCEs as a frame for this rhythm we have. And it merges sort of our awareness of our own breath and beingness, and our also awareness of where others might have challenges with that. And in a funny way, sort of blend that with improvisation, which is most known for its phrase around yes and. And so what we'll do in these 4 month cycles, we'll move through the entire breathing model, one kind of piece at a time each month. But it mirrors kind of what I was thinking of, like, how do we remember this for ourselves? You just get caught up in something and maybe you got some bad news or traffic is horrible or things didn't work out the way you'd hoped. And it's these little small moments where this particular work can be really helpful. Um, and so I thought, well, like, what is this? What is a phrase that would help us? And when I was thinking about this, it was a day when I had way too many deadlines. There were more deadlines than hours in my day. And I realized I was starting to just like, how am I going to do this? And I said, yeah, but, and then I kept noticing the word and. Like, it wasn't like could wish away the obligations. As a matter of fact, they were all quite positive, but I had to be with them. And so I thought it's like just like an improv, it's yes and. So it's sort of a yes. The yes could be drawing on a resource for ourselves that kind of helps us balance in the midst of being a bit out of breath. But also just the yes is, yes, I see this experience I'm having, or I see that I have all this and I'm feeling overwhelmed. I can notice it in myself, but I can yes and it. Yes, and I can breathe. So when my head is full of all these, was full of all these things, like looking at my watch, I'm looking, thinking, I thought, how am I ever going to get this done? And I did, but I did this like 4 times during the day when my energy would try to ramp up or I'd feel really tired. Can I just stop now? No, you can't. But I just found this thing about if we can't yes and create this sort of, no pun intended, but breathing room in the moment that that's happening, it's really hard to do all the rest. And so I thought the first order of business, and this goes back to you if you've studied me before when we move through our pause, relax, and open process. This is pausing, just pausing like, yes, I'm stressed and I can breathe. And just by slowly saying I can breathe, I'm aware of my breath. I start to regulate better, and then I can move back to what I was doing. So it doesn't matter where you're coming into our cycle because you'll see the whole thing. But we'll practice today and we'll explore this idea of being. So after we've said yes and we've created a bit more space for ourselves, the I is about coming back to ourselves. I. So maybe somebody cut you off in traffic and you're stressed because they nearly hit your car. And you're like, know those people, and all these stories ramp up, and this energy ramps up. And then just come back to I. Oh, I'm still driving. I need to be safe. I need to manage myself. So it comes back to sort of centering in us. And then, yeah, I can do this. I can let my body breathe again. I don't have to hold my breath or curse them under my breath. I can just come back to I can. And then what can I do? The first thing I can do, the simplest thing I can always return to is our breath. And so I've just been experimenting with this, and Karen and I have exchanged anecdotes of ways it's been playing out in our own life and things we've observed. So I'd like you to just kind of hold that in the back of your mind as we go through our practice today, just to see how it might play out for you, and then we'll hear from you at the end. Um, so I'm gonna I'm just gonna stop there for a second. And if you have anything you'd like to share or ask before we move into our practice, now would be a good time to speak up. Or you can put something in the chat box and Karen can find you there as well.
David, might we take the slide down for just a bit?
I can do that. It's easy.
Thanks. There you go.
David, and
Here you go.
Indigo here.
Yeah,
Yes.
recognize your
Hi.
voice. There you are.
There I is. I'm so grateful. I hadn't been doing any coaching sessions with anybody for quite a while. I took a big break.
Okay.
And today I'll be doing the second one of a set of 3. And last week, it was a fabulous session and nothing that either of us expected. It didn't even touch on the normal structure. It just took off with wings, and we were both kind of nonplussed, but it was working. And what kept me steady, kept my ballast, my pontoons in the water, was your ease with being with what has shown up.
Hmm.
I've gotten to observe you, thank goodness, through the Zoom process, sitting on sessions that you did with other individuals, as you as the coach, they as the client, and your capacity to just go with that flow was a very visceral example of how that's possible to do. And I just wanted to do a shout out to you. Thank you so much. I would not previously been able to do that.
Good for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, more and more, Indy, I've just been coming to realize we're just standing in the same river with our clients.
Ah.
And there's nowhere for us to go. We're all often too eager to be helpful and too earnest out of great intention and a big heart. But a lot of it's just standing still and noticing the river.
Love that imagery.
Yeah.
Cool.
Does anybody else want to share anything while we have a moment?
I'd like to share.
Okay.
Name's Mary. It's my first call with you.
Yeah.
And how lovely to just begin by just being and breathing.
Mm.
Yeah, and to have that be the call. That's the call. Yes, I can breathe. And yeah, so I just want to share. It's a really it's just a reminder that I love receiving and love in trying to live with others. So
Thank you, Mary.
May I, David?
Where are you? There you are, Marion. I had to find you. There you are.
Last week I was with a client who was very excited about the work that he had to be doing, lots and lots of work. At the same time, he's trying to slow down and turn the work over to others and do more delegating. And anyway, so there's all this going on, but he was, as he was talking about it, he was just like very excited. And when he finally stopped talking, I said, Brad, I'm breathing up here in the top of my chest and just on your every word. And he took a minute and then he said, yeah, I think I am too. And then he said, I think I'm just an adrenaline junkie. Which I think for him was a super awareness.
Yeah.
So anyway, but my feeling my own breathing up here, like,
Yeah.
breathe.
Yeah. You hit a nerve for Chris. So you
Oh,
It's okay, Chris. It's all good.
I'm sorry, I took myself off mute too early.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is so lovely. Uh, I have the sort of similar experience to Indigo, but the inverse of having just been through a lot of deep development myself as a coach and working on some coaching in adult development spaces, and then being with some clients, and it was so transactional. And it was so, for me, it felt like, oh, universe, you're playing a joke on me, right? Like I just had this particles off the soul scraping experience. And now they just want an answer to the crap that they need to fix right now. And man, did I need to just, well, you know what, Chris? Still just sit here,
Yeah,
just be here.
exactly.
That was a lot harder because I felt I was contributing no value at all based
Yeah.
on the terms in which they were coming to that time. I
Yeah.
just had to accept those are the terms for this person in this time. That's all this is.
Yeah. And they just pull out the axe and chop some more wood. Yeah. Yeah. I have this longstanding theological theory that God is actually a retired British couple that used to write for Monty Python. Because it was the only way to explain life. Yeah. So we're gonna have this will mean nothing to some of you maybe, but I've always wanted to offer a class on sponsored by the Ministry of Silly Walks. And we should each have our own signature coaching walk that we should then model when we go see our clients. Anyways, so how about if we move on unless somebody else wants to share before we go? All right, go back. Here we are. So this is our standing slide. And we have every week just as sort of our constant reminder. So one of our favorite frames is that again, one of the ways we can sometimes get, so like Chris is a great example of this, and we've all been there. We get excited, we just learned some new techniques, or we've done some big work on ourselves, or had a big breakthrough ourselves, and want to share that enthusiasm with our clients. But they sometimes, again, it feels like Monty Python's far at work, but they're just asking for the same thing that we are, but in a place that they're ready for. And so we just come back to rather than worrying about what am I going to bring and do I have enough and all these things we sometimes worry about in our work, we just can relax and say whatever I need is going to be here, and this moment is my curriculum. What am I being asked to learn? What am I being asked to contribute? And so whatever you came with is great and welcome, and whatever you choose to do with this is yours to do. But just sort of lean into the activity and fully recognize that of all of you on the call, you each are here for a different reason. You each have a different need from this, and which may be about the work, it may be about us, it may be about you. We don't know, but just like lean into some of the moments and see what it might bring. So I think I'm going to move up one slide. I think I changed my mind back again. I'm going to start here. I couldn't decide whether this was before or after the instructions, but I'm going to put it here now. So one of the things that I don't tend to spend a lot of money on myself, but one of the things I treasure is a really good massage. And one of the things that I found was a great analogy for what we're about to do in a way is all the modalities that are sort of in the realm of what we think of as shiatsu, or people who massage to pressure points in your body, where our bodies tend to where stress to kind of coagulates. And that's the part where, oh, you get that sort of ache in a certain place. And part of that process is, this is an easy one because she's using her thumb, not her elbow. But as they just lean right into the epicenter of that knot. And what I love about this, it hurts at first, and then there's this release of chemicals, which kind of makes it almost euphoric. But it's a great metaphor for this work, because instead of saying yes and, many of us so Chris, if I don't mind, your story is a great example. Yes, but I'm already with all this great stuff. Why are these people presenting with such pedestrian crap that I don't? Why? Because so we're yes butting instead of yes anding. And so the whole theme for this practice today is letting things be. Doesn't mean we like them or agree with them or wanted them. We might think they're worse or better than we had planned, but whatever it is it already is. You have a pain in your shoulder. And so the beauty of this is that it's using your body's capacity to heal itself. It's not doing this to your body. It's actually releasing the body and saying to your body, basically, it's okay to let go now. And whatever was here might emerge and become clear to you, but we can help move through this. But first we have to kind of lean into it to really get to the essence of what is this sticking point. And inevitably, when I'm getting a massage like this, it's uncanny how when there's that point where the release actually happens, you can feel it happen. You get this image or sensation in my brain that gives me an association for what that represents in my psyche's journey or my soul's journey. And so there's always an equation or an association with something in our mindset or on our mind that's equated to this resistance in our body. And so we're going to just use this sort of that as a metaphor to think about what if we kind of leaned in. And this is the I, right? So it's leaning to ourself. What are we being asked to look at in ourself around enabling ourselves to let ourselves be with what is as a prelude to understanding it more deeply and making better discernments about what to do with it. So I'm going to go back here to the instructions now. So we use the same or some version of the same process every month. Sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're longer, but we focus on one of the 4 phases during the practice. So here's what I'd like you to bring to our practice in a couple of minutes. Oops, sorry, wrong way. So I'll let you read this, and then I'll just see if you have any questions about the instructions. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the activity? All clear? Anything you notice, Karen? Okay. All right. So for this then, it's much easier for most of us to not be distracted. So you'll have a copy of the slides afterwards. You'll be able to see the model, and it also is up on the website on the BCEs. But I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes and just relax in your chair just for a few minutes, and I'll just guide us through this practice for probably 4 or 5 minutes. So as you begin, just maybe settle your feet on the floor and just allow yourself to be grounded. And if things come to your mind that aren't part of this, just thank them and tell them you'll get back to them later. For now, just kind of be here and notice how your breath is today. And this is, again, think about an area or situation in your life where you sense there's some constriction. It might take the form of holding yourself back, less movement, less comfort or ease. But is there something in your life around which you're feeling a bit constricted? And if so, then is there any place in your body where you can feel this constriction more than any other place? And if there's more than one, or it's more of a bigger area, just pick a spot that intuitively makes sense. What do you associate with this constriction? So it might be in your throat. Maybe there's a tightness in your throat, or maybe your chest is kind of achy and heavy, or maybe it's your hands are restless and they're fidgeting and they're not fluid. But just notice what you associate with the constriction in your body. And then I'd like you to imagine that somebody that cares about you is pressing their finger, their thumb into that space to help you release the constriction. And just notice where that's hitting you in yourself, your sense of I. As you imagine this to the best of your ability and feel into this, and you might notice changes in your breathing, like maybe you hold your breath again, or maybe it feels tighter for a while. And just keep telling yourself, but yes, I can breathe. And just all we're trying to do is just be with the experience of leaning into this space of constriction. And as you do this, I'd like you just to begin to pay attention to, is there anything in this that's asking you to let go? As maybe the pressure comes and there's a sense of releasing in this space, you might focus on your out breath. What's actually exhaling? Like maybe you had a very too high of an expectation of yourself, and then you're noticing regret or disappointment. So maybe you can just breathe out and yes, but I can breathe. And if I breathe, I realize maybe I should give myself some more slack. But just sort of notice as you're breathing out and concentrating on, yes, ending your breath. What are you being asked to let go of with this? And you might find this is you might have to let go of some of your ego, or conversely, you might have to let go of some of your um, challenges to yourself, because this is all about the beginning of the path of maturity. And if some of this you feel is still holding on, you might just sigh a few times or really shrug your shoulders down as you're breathing out. And just imagine like the bellows, you're just like letting this go and like deepening your breath cycle. The more that you can do this, the closer you get to a deeper sense of your I. So if you maybe let go of something or things seem a bit easier now, what are you being asked to let be? Maybe you can see more clearly now, or maybe you can accept or own more fully. But now you're breathing with what's going on in your original story of constriction and letting it just be what it is. And part of the reason why letting be is sometimes difficult is because in our process here, we're often having to deal with a mystery because it's not going to reveal itself right away. Just like the thumb on your pain in your back, it doesn't release right away, right? There's work to be done. It's holding on for a reason. And so mystery and the unknown is not always easy or comfortable. And so, but as we continue to let it be and breathe with that, we start to look at what am I being asked to curate? Like what is the essence when you get to the bottom of the massage move and all of a sudden you can feel the muscles and the fascia release. What pops out or what stands out for you in that moment? So just ask yourself that now. What's starting to come true for me in this? All right. So hopefully some clarity has come for you there. And now we can move to the last two parts of this. So as we're aware more about what's being revealed to us, literally and sort of cognitively in this process, we start sort of the ascent out of the experience again. It's the releasing of the finger on our back so the body can sort of recalibrate itself. And now we can actually notice, do you have more breath now? Do you feel less constricted? And so both less constricted in the space you felt not so much that way when you started, but also in maybe your mind feels lighter or clearer as you start to breathe in more fully because you're no longer holding on to something. And in our world here, this is called letting come. So again, it's not effort that I have to go make something happen now. Just like with your body, it knows how to restore itself once we allow it to let go. So what's being asked to kind of come into your life or your work or your mind or your heart? And one of the ways to find that is just to start paying attention to your breathing in. What's coming in now that you can breathe again more fully? This is the can. I can breathe. Hmm. And now lastly, we're going to come to the last phrase, which is about breath itself. So if you were able to find some things in breathing in that have, are useful for you, meaningful for you, most people start to experience a greater sense of flow. And so we're going to now just breathe through. Let whatever is now emerged from you breathe through you, maybe in a new way that was held back before. And this then, for many of us, brings a sense of completion to this cycle. A piece that was missing before, maybe held back or constricted, is now available to you. And from here, we can form new memories that create new patterns for us to bring what we discovered today back into the rest of your life. For this, just for the final sort of check-in with yourself, just notice the breath, but now the breath includes the experience you just had, which you were standing outside of when we began because you had something that was constricting for you. In this moment and in this flow, breathing through whatever it is you encountered, and whatever you encountered was fine. And just notice, does that bring with you a new sense of flow around the area or topic that you felt constricted about? And if so, what might you use to describe that experience for yourself? All right. And so when you're ready, I'd like you to come back to the room at your own speed. Take a minute to just be quiet. And if you feel inclined, put any thoughts in the chat box that you would like to share, just to kind of get that out now while it's fresh. And then we're going to put you into some small groups so you can have some conversation. Okay. So I'll leave the picture up now so you can see that. If that helps you in your orientation around taking notes for yourself. Hmm. Hmm. Thanks for sharing, Indy. Yeah. Hmm. I like that, Chana. Hmm. 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 So if you're still writing, that's wonderful. And I'm just gonna you can keep writing if you're still finishing, but I'm just gonna go on and give you the instructions. Um, so what we'll do is we'll put you into groups of 3, and here's some questions to guide you. If you have different questions, that's fine too. Do whatever feels meaningful for your group. Um, my But what did you notice that was important for you? Did anything shift for you? And what did the phrase, what was your experience like with that? My invitation for you is just to be aware of, as always, in groups, and sometimes some of us wait too long to talk, and then we don't get our chance, and sometimes we leap into it and talk, and others don't get the chance. So just make sure you've got the space for what you need from your group, and we'll do this for let's see, how about 28, yeah, 28 minutes.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm ready when you are, all are,
Okay.
and the instructions are in the chat if you wanted to take a note of that, folks.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
and thank you. There's still some notes coming in. It's
I
wonderful.
see
We
that,
have you.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Shabnam, thank you for coming.
yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. All right. Should we open up the breakout rooms?
Ready?
Yeah. All right. So, well, anyways, welcome back. And we have some time here. So I would just love to see what emerged for you, that if there's anything you would like to share.
And David, the note I sent to you went to everybody by mistake, so everybody can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is perfect anyways. Hmm.
Chris.
My dear new friend Jan had a lovely phrase, which, Jan, with your permission, may I share the phrase about being with ourselves?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the beauty of being with ourselves together.
Hmm.
It was just a beautiful space of witnessing and holding with
Hmm.
Jan, and I'm very grateful.
Hmm. Thanks to both of you. Um, Those of you who know me know that I can wait a long time. So I'm curious, Erica, what emerged for you or sparked something for you in the experience? And again, you're also welcome to put this in the chat box if that's easier or better for you.
I have something to share.
There you are. Oh, hello. What would you like to share?
So when I stepped into the room for this meeting, I was something's upsetting, but during the work, I started to think about what happened in Mother's Day. I had a great hiking with two of my kids. And then I realized what's really important in life for me, and things are irrelevant to me. It shouldn't matter to me. Just let it be. When I did the mind shift, JC asked me, do I go back and forth between the two emotions? But to me, when I did the mind shift, I'm good.
Okay.
I let it be.
Wonderful. Good for you. Sometimes it's nice just to complete things and not keep redoing them or rehashing them. Yeah.
There's lots of head nodding with what you just said.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll pose a different question. We decide in the beginning that these sessions are supposed to be 90 minutes. And it's possible that everyone feels complete and we don't need 90 minutes. So, which is fine too. Everything is what it needs to be. So I will just put out there just to create space for it. Is there anything else that would be useful for you today?
I'm thinking, David.
You're thinking, Brenda, what are you thinking about?
Hi. That very often we need to remind ourselves that we can breathe because life happens and sometimes it's our fault. Sometimes things happen from other people onto us, project onto us. And we have to be able to recognize that and step back and just tell ourselves we can breathe. And it's amazing how the body, when you speak it, the body responds. And, you can get that release. And that's what happened for me today. And I believe the others in my group as well. Yeah. So I thank you for that as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
One of the ways I'm starting to remind myself, Brenda, and you've heard me share this story before, I'm sure, but I've ordered a little print of a photograph from the James Webb Telescope, one of those really extraordinary images they can get now.
Yeah.
And it's got engraving and something like, I can't remember exactly, but please remember that the universe was created 13.8 billion years ago. Get over yourself. And I just love that. I just burst out laughing because not everything, because some things deserve seriousness and poignancy and, you know, sadness and all the other emotions. But sometimes we can just get wrapped up in all these things and lose complete perspective, as Srinwa was suggesting. So I want to put it up and have a little Monty Python humor in my office just when I get too caught up in myself or what's going on. Yeah. So Kent.
Yeah, just following up with that and from Brenda, the your or your pressure points in regard to the massage, combined with the yes and for me is a reminder that the yes is that point of pressure or that constriction, whatever that might be. The and for me is the reminder that there's a whole lot more to my body than that particular pressure point.
Yeah.
A whole lot more to my existence than that particular place of frustration or anxiety or whatever it is. And so it's just a reminder for me, at least, for that the rest of the world to have some space to exist.
Yeah. When I lived in Sydney and I used to go above the yoga studio, I used to go to the woman that did extraordinary massages like this. And she was also a deeply spiritual teacher, and she was very annoying often what she would say. So one of the practices that she invited me into before the massage was to bow in gratitude to the pain in my body. And what? But again, it's the yes and, as you're saying, Kent, right? Well, I don't want that pain. Yes, and it's here. So what is it trying to get your attention for? What are you doing in your posture, your anxiety management, your sense of self, your way of moving, something you're doing that's creating this pain in yourself, and how great it is that your body is so kind to point out exactly where it is. So you can pay attention to this. And so I just sort of my own sort of fun spiritual journey coming to varying degrees of acceptance of being willing to admit she was right. Because you go there because you want relief from the pain, you want it to go away, but then you've lost the signals that tell you what's actually happening.
Yeah, and even today when I was working on reframing some of my goal stuff, I was trying to figure out what to do with ego in there, and trying to say whether I befriend it or what do I do with the ego, and I still don't have the wording quite right, but the reminder for myself was to let the ego be my reminder or my teacher for what is, and I'm in this case is a bruised ego, but what can that teach me about myself that can be useful, as opposed to trying to constrict it or tell it to go away or whatever. How can that inform it?
I'll go.
Michelle.
Hello, coming from an annoying Sydney person here. Not really. Yeah, I just love the many teachers that come into our life, right? It's just amazing when they come through. Thank you, David. It's once I realized what was weighing me down and was able to actually name it, that was a pivotal point. And just that slowness of the process that you put us through actually got me there. And the thing is, when the confliction hit then, once I named it, I was like, okay, here we go. So it kind of like this whole thing opened up. And the most beautiful part of even thinking about the massage was just this perfect thing, because it was just basically supporting me rather than weighing me down. And so once I realized that, a new breath opened up, the gates opened up, and the flow started to happen within myself. So the most interesting part is the massage, the pain points, even when the flow happened, I could feel the pain. That was an interesting thing, which I had never, ever experienced before. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, one of the things that she would have me do down there in Coogee was, which you would know where that is when she said, just feel all the different kinds of pain on the way down. And she's only pushing like this far, right? But in the beginning, your body starts to resist. Hey, what is this? We don't want this. This hurts. And it hurts a lot. And then all of a sudden it stops because then it passes through some kind of fascial kind of barrier or something where it gets to the nub of the constriction. And then there's this euphoric sort of rippling out. But it is kind of, watching our body like, no, can we tighten up? Like, no, stop hurting. And when in reality, it's just making it worse and prolonging the process. And so it's an interesting, like you were saying, Michelle, there's different ways we have these relationships with these experiences and watching us sort of like in this tango we're doing with this. And yeah.
And I only realized I connected with myself. Everyone, it's like 6:20 in the morning here now. So my stomach started gurgling. Before that, I couldn't even hear anything in my body. So all of a sudden, all these sounds started wavering through my body. I'm like, oh, we're connected now. So that's how my awareness came through.
Wonderful.
Thank
Now
you.
it's time for breakfast. All right.
I put it in the chat, but put it in the chat, and I felt an amazing experience when we got to the fourth question of having my chakras reconnect like a electrical cord that lit up. And what came through in that is I didn't know before that they weren't communicating with each other, or there was not the flow. Maybe they were, in spite of that image, still connected in some way. However, it also made me want to sit up straighter, not in a ramrod or military way, but just I felt in alignment in a way that before we got to that fourth question, I was hunched or drawn in. So thank you. I'm going to be exploring that.
Good. All right. So how about if we just call it a day and savor your experience and for those of you who didn't with us last week, we had a wonderful session, huge session on the Five Maturities paper, which is now posted on the website. And so it's sort of offering, those of you who've studied with me, you'll recognize a lot of the philosophy inside, but it's looking at a different paradigm for how we think about coaching and developing coaches. So if you want that, you can download a copy from the website.
Cool.
And we're going to use it as a basis for some new things we're putting together for later this year. So, yeah. All right. So be well, my friends. Just keep breathing. And we'll see you again next month. Thank you very much.